Brighid Murphy. I'm a shamanic practitioner and a leader, and I help other healing arts practitioners and luminaries to align with their fire so that they can take their work in the world. And I created this series, this Healers and Healing series, to support healers and helpers who are in service. I have one-on-one path to power programs that I offer. I have live shamanic training and online sacred training for healers. And I also have just launched a healers collective. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that at the end of this segment. So the first segment of this series, which was earlier this week, and you can find the replays here in the group, was the universe will provide all that I need. Common thought in New Age thinking, and definitely not many people's experience when it comes to on the ground running and taking your healing work in the world. Second in the series was, what was it? Spirit will guide me if it's meant to be. Lots of good stuff in that segment. That replay is also here. Today's topic I chose, which is all about money and healing being free. I chose it because there's so much stuff around money and healing, so much stuff. So I'm going to cover 3 important things, and I'm going to get as much in as I possibly can. I'm going to cover some myths about healing and money, where they come from. I'm going to cover concepts that will help you to shift your mindset around money, shift your energy around it. And I'm going to also cover the number one truth about people and money and healing. So this is a super hot topic, super hot. And people are always talking about it. I hear for the last 25 years, I've heard people talking about it all the time. People are they're always judging other people about it. And we've got a variety of things happening. We've got people who don't believe that healing work should ever be about money, that healing work, people shouldn't pay for healing services. And we've got healers who are depleted and can't feed themselves. We've got people who judge anybody else for charging money. And we've also got gifted people who are afraid to charge money for their sessions or for their healing work. I have one client who's so afraid to do it that she told me that every time she has sessions with people and she tells them how much it costs, she changes or lowers the price because she gets nervous. And we have all this stuff, not because any of these things are true, but we have all this stuff because people have so much unresolved and understood, misunderstood things around money and healing work. And we also have this stuff, this money crap around healing work and charging, because typically, no one's ever told healers how to offer their services in a heart-aligned way and speak about money in a way that aligns with their soul. So there's not an integrity around any of this. I'm working to change that. I have changed that. My people are changing it. And we do have some healers who are in integrity with the whole thing. And that's where I want you to be. If you are a healing arts practitioner, and whether you're making a business out of it or not, I want you to be in integrity and feel good about money. And you can do that without being a huge ego. You can do that without it feeling crappy. You just need a little bit of practice and some more information. So knowing that this money healer thing is a mess, and just watching me have this conversation and do this training is going to trigger some people. I know that. For some people, it's irritating to hear about money. But we're going to clear it up. So let's clear it up. So, and if you're hopping on, say hello. Let me know you're here. And I want to start with where this mess comes from. Where does this, where do these myths and mess around healers shouldn't charge money and it's uncomfortable and it's going to be uncomfortable and I don't know how to do this? Where does it come from? Well, first, it comes from a misunderstanding and a misperception around a healer's responsibility. Healers have a responsibility to serve. Somewhere along the line, healers have mixed their responsibility with serving. They've mixed their responsibility to serve with a responsibility to suffer. That's one of the things that one of the places this mess comes from. Another place is that healing has to do with receiving. And whenever you mix receiving in with people who aren't good at receiving and who have trauma around being vulnerable, that gets dicey. Another reason why we're in this mess is because people have this romanticized idea of healers being supported by the village and there's no money exchange and everything just flows and the healer's taken care of. That lives like in people's minds. And we're also in this mess as a result of clear, bare truth. Typical healing training, whether it's shamanic healing training or Reiki training or blah, 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 it doesn't cover this. It doesn't cover how to charge what you want to charge or charge anything at all and feel good about it. So those are some of the reasons why we're in this mess. And there's always judgment about it. There's people who judge me. There will always be people who judge other people. It just happens. And you can let that judgment paralyze you. Or you can say enough. Like I'm going to sustain myself with my gifts and I'm going to do it in a good way. Or you can stay in the other place. I prefer to move into the place of sustaining my gifts and teaching others how to sustain theirs in a good way. And so I'm here to raise awareness, I'm here to educate, and I'm here to help healing arts practitioners and luminaries step into the light around this. And that brings me to the first truth that I want to share. First truth I want to share. People value what they pay for. People value what they pay for. And they show up for what they value. And money is something that holds value. It's not the only thing that holds value, but it's something that holds value. Even if you think money isn't spiritual, and that's a whole nother conversation. I don't separate spirituality from the rest of my life. So I would have another conversation, another training about money and spirituality, another topic. Even if you don't think money is spiritual, the people who you'll be working with, may not have the same idea as you do. People who you'll be working with or are working with don't have the same hang-ups as you do. So don't project that onto them. People value what they pay for. And they value when they value the classes they pay for. They value the personal items, the shoes they purchase. They value the groceries they purchase. Does that value magically disappear when it comes to healing work? No, it doesn't. But practitioners are quick to erase that value. And you should know that recipients are not, unless you give them permission to. What you value in yourself and in your work, other people will value. And I have learned this the hard way, but it's true. So the value that people put on things that they purchase doesn't disappear when it comes to healing work. I see people in all different places. I have done experiments on this for the last, I would say solid 15 years. Solid 15 years experiments on money and helping people, not helping people, offering, not offering, giving everything because people can't afford it. You name it, I have done it. So, and I can tell you that if people valued free healing very much, they would show up for it more often. Talk about that in a minute. One of the things that I mentioned a couple minutes ago is that the reason why we're in this mess around healers and money is because the people have this idea that healers, traditional healers in villages didn't get any money and the whole village supported them. That one needs a total redo. It needs a rewrite. First of all, it's not true. Didn't work that way. And second of all, the consciousness of the people, the consciousness of the people that you work with, the consciousness of the healers that do the work is not in a village in olden times. The consciousness of the people is not in the village in olden times. The consciousness is right here and right now around money and value. And so that romanticization, I can't say the word, romanticization. I can't, romanticizing, I totally can't get it. And I can't, when you're live, it doesn't matter, like it just comes out. The truth is that nobody here has ever experienced olden times. It's a fantasy in your mind. And so we have to just stop that already. We have to stop it. It's because it's not true and it doesn't apply in this context because none of us are living that. And another truth is that people need to pay their bills. Even if you live a frugal lifestyle, you still need to pay your bills. And this is really important to recognize that people are not paying for healing when they pay you. They're not paying for healing. They are paying for your time and the result that your time and experience offers. If I could etch that into stone, we would be in a different place. I have learned how to communicate the result that my work offers, and I teach other people to do it. And it's easier to value the result than it is to value your own self. People pay for your time and the result that you offer. You can value money as a currency and still be connected to source and still be connected to what's real. Let's say that again. You can value money as currency and still be connected to source and connected to what's real. They coexist. You don't need to break up with money to be a healer. You actually need to start dating it a little bit more if you want to be a healer who sustains your work. Really, this is all about integrity, respecting your time, and being of service. All of it needs to go together. And you can let me know if this is making sense. If you're just hopping on live, I know a bunch of you just hopped on, let me know you're here. So if you're a healer, here are a couple of things that you can do to start to bring your relationship with money and your understanding of money back into balance, or into balance if it's never been there. First thing is explore your boundaries. Receiving money is connected with your boundaries. If you give and give and give and give and give, and you never, never, never receive, that's a boundary issue. How much are you giving without receiving? Where are your bottom lines? What are you actually getting out of giving when there's no reciprocity? That's important to look at. And also, how much do you require to be well resourced? Take a look at that. A lot of times, I mentioned this yesterday when I asked healers, well, how much do you need to survive? How much do you need to make from your healing practice? Glaze over the eyes because they haven't thought about it, because they haven't connected their right to live, their right to be resourced with their healing work. Once you do that, the game starts to change. Healers also need to be willing to not judge other healers for what they're charging. You need to be able to empower one another and respect their choices. It's a very different ball game for somebody who is completely self-sustained by their work, for somebody who has to save for their own retirement, for somebody who has to pay their own health insurance, for somebody who has to pay somebody to help them do their work, than it is for somebody who's just doing a couple sessions on the side. And you don't know what other people have to pay for. You don't know what their responsibilities and obligations are. And if a healer is basing what they charge on that, that's their absolute complete right to do that. And you can't judge that. Another thing that healers can do is to be willing to pay a healthy amount of money for your own work. If you want people to pay you, receive, you need to be able to, you know, be a participant in that cycle and pay others for healing work. Don't always expect a discount. Don't always, expect that you can barter, because that doesn't work for everybody. Sometimes it works, but I'll tell you, if I bartered with everybody who wanted to barter with me, I'd be living in a tent. So you have to be able to say no and do what works for you. And you have to expect that not everybody wants to barter. That's a big thing in like a lot of the natural healing communities or the earth-based communities. Everybody wants to barter, and it's not sustainable. I was studying with a coach for a while who said he was a coach. He was a coach, and when he first started his coaching business, he was charging way less than he should have. And so he's taking a look at some of his habits around money, because you need to. If you want to create a sustainable healing business, you need to look at your own stuff around money. You can't expect like all the money to come and for people to value you and all of that, and you don't value other people, or you're haggling on the side. So the coach that I was following said that he was looking at his money stuff, and one of the things he realized about himself was that he haggled and tried to make deals with everything that he purchased. And that what he was doing was really actually lowering the value of what he was purchasing, and that he decided to stop doing that. And when he stopped doing that, people stopped trying to get his stuff at a discount. And he felt there was just a big shift. So I found that to be interesting. You can come up with different ways to serve people with different needs without devaluing yourself, but you have to have a plan in order to do that. You can't offer free healing work or discounted healing work just to everybody, because that lowers the value of everything, and it's just, like I said before, it's not sustainable. So valuing the work that you do and understanding what that means is super important here. And for healing recipients, or actually for everybody, a few more things to keep in mind are there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes, from years of training to paying for health insurance to the amount of self-care that somebody needs in order to be of service, because it takes a lot of energy to hold space for other people's healing. All of that needs to be kept in mind. And also the investing in your own training. You know, ask me sometime how much I've invested in my own training. Ask me. You'll be shocked. You'll be shocked. Being able to make a sustainable business ongoing in a way that feels good and that's heart aligned, it doesn't come naturally. So investing in my own healing training and my own coaching on how to sustain myself has taken up a lot of my resources. And I wouldn't change it for the world, because I wouldn't be here if I never took a risk to invest in learning how to run a heart-aligned business. So also, another thing that you can do is stop expecting healing and advice and spiritual help to be free. Stop it. Whether we're talking about you calling your friend for a reading all the time, or you just wanting to pick somebody's brain because you know they know more than you. That's the worst. The picking of the brain is absolutely the worst. So many people want to pick my brain. I could go broke letting everybody pick my brain. So stop expecting healing and advice and readings for free. Ask how you can be in reciprocity with the person who's offering you a service or whose service you're asking for, especially when you know them. Because it gets draining when you're a healer and everybody comes to you for things and there's no reciprocity. And let the healer tell you what they need. I can't tell you how many people have come to me and say, "Oh, I can offer you this." Well, that's kind and wonderful, but I don't really need that. I actually need to pay my bills and get some groceries. Can you help me with that? Don't assume don't assume that what you want to give is of equal value to what a healer is giving you. Make sure you check in with them. And don't assume that people want to give it for free. I have to tell you, a little while back, I was on one of those spiritual people groups somewhere, and there's like thousands of people in this group, and this woman posted, "I need somebody to come clear my house. And don't anybody tell me how much you charge because I saw somebody else offer this for free. So I know that people don't charge money for this." I could not believe it. She's essentially saying, "Come to my house for 4 hours and I'm not going to pay you and don't expect to be paid." That was like rough to see. Somebody just really thinking that people have 4 hours of their time to spend with you and that they should spend it with you because you're in need. It doesn't work that way. And the last thing to watch out for is, and I might have said this already, recognize that bartering might feel good to you, but it might not feel good to the person that you want to barter with. I know this is going to really hurt, but I'm going to say the truth. It's often, not always, but often, that bartering is a way to avoid money. I did a whole segment on this a while back ago. I should see if I can pull it up. So, my experience, here's my experience. I have had clients who have, over the last 15 years of receiving money and exchanges for the work that I do. I've seen it all of it. I wish I could deliver it all to you. I've had clients who have very little resources pay for larger programs because they believe in the value of the program. They understand the power of investing in themselves. Um, and many, not all, because I'm not under an illusion that resources are distributed evenly to everybody across the globe and you just have to think it into being. No, I'm not, I don't believe that way. Many, but not all, many people can make it happen if they want to. And I wouldn't say, well, you can make it happen if you want to, because I don't feel that way, but I know that based on what I see. And what I see is clients who have lots of resources and they don't invest in healing programs, mine or other people's, but they go on vacations, they buy multiple properties, but they don't have the money for healing work. That's not about money, that's about value and priority. So often, it's so very often it's about money, it's about value and priority and not money, but people make you think that it's money. We kid ourselves into thinking that it's about money when it's not. And yes, there are class and privilege issues here. I'm not shielded around that. That's another discussion. I'm very well aware about how white privilege allows people more options. I'm also very well aware that when healers are resourced, when an open, full heart that knows how to give is resourced, that open, full heart can create a lot more opportunities. I know I certainly do. I'm able to help so many more people in my community by offering of my time freely, by offering financial support to things because I'm well resourced. When I was first building my business, I didn't have a spare moment because I needed all of my focus to go where it was going. Now that I've learned how to do things in a heart-aligned way, I have more time because I am resourced and I can support people in my community. So that is a benefit and a really good part about being in alignment with your work and learning how to charge for your work in a good way is that you not only get to pay your bills, woo, you get to actually give back to the community without being stressed. You cannot give to the community if you're stressed. You can, but you wind up getting sick. I've so like I said, people have money and don't always choose to spend it. That's not that's a thing. Um, I've also experienced lowering my fees so that I can include everybody. And I have charged amounts of money for my healing work that I'm too embarrassed to tell you. And I've had people not step into it because even the lowest amount was too much for them. And some of those people, some of those same people, I watched them go spend more with another healer. It wasn't about the money. So I did all that for a long time. Um, I removed money barriers. I thought, you know what? I'm just going to remove that altogether, and that will let that person have healing. And it doesn't work because it's about something else. It's not always about money. We just think it is. Deeply ingrained stuff. I've had clients who pay very little and show up for their work. And I will tell you that's not the norm. It's not the norm. When people aren't exchanging something they highly value, they don't show up. When people aren't exchanging something they highly value, they reschedule constantly, which is a waste of my time and yours. They aren't in it 100%. When you value what you do, others will start to value it. When you get confident in what you're going to charge and what the investment is and the reciprocity, people will feel confident in offering that to you. I've had people, oh, that's another story. So let's create a world where healing is valued and it's not expected that it's going to be for free. Boy, you know what? As I'm even doing this, as I'm sharing, I'm getting annoyed. I'm getting annoyed at how much disrespect of a healer's time there is and how much healers disrespect their own time by not charging or not letting themselves sustain themselves with their work. And that is often because there hasn't been a there hasn't been training or information on how to do it. When you go to some type of healing school, whether it's Reiki or shamanic training or acupuncture or whatever it is, they teach you how to help others, but they don't necessarily teach you how to help yourself. If you really want to help yourself and sustain yourself with healing work, you have to go get that on your own. And if you don't go get that, you don't get far. You stay in the same rut of not making a sustainable business, of not charging what you're worth, of cringing, of bartering with everybody and you can't pay your bills, but you're a bleeding heart healer. That's what happens if you don't get yourself on a different page. So I want to know from hearing all of this, what is one thing that you can do to create a shift here for yourself? What is one thing that you can do? Is it an action? Is it a mindset? Is it a thought? Is it a habit? And you can go ahead and share that with me. What's one thing that you can do? So I like to keep these short. This was a little bit longer because there's a lot to say and there's still more. So far, I've covered myths about healing and money and where they come from, concepts to help you shift your mindset around money a little bit, and the number one truth about people, money, and healing. And the number one truth is all about value. Healers need to value their time and the result that they offer. When a healer values the time and the result that they offer, and they couple that with learning how to speak about their work and practice receiving in a new way, the game changes 100%. And I can promise you that because it's happened for me. I didn't set out to learn how to become an entrepreneur. I set out to help as many people as I could. And I realized that if I was going to do that and reach more people, I needed to up my game around all of this. And so I've done a lot of work around it. So thank you for joining me for the Money and Mindset series. This one was all about healing. Healing should be free, is what I called it. Healing should be